She planned to crush him, thinking him a weakling. Until his blade forged out a new galactic hierarchy, the War Council of the Draxian Empire assembled in the Obsidian Chamber, their crystalline forms refracting the cold light of distant stars. Commander Vexra stood at the center, her 4 arms gesturing with calculated precision as she outlined the final phase of galactic conquest. Only one species remained unconquered, one pathetic world that had somehow evaded subjugation for decades. Earth. The humans had been observed, studied, and dismissed. Their physical forms were laughably fragile compared to the Draxians, who possessed exoskeletons harder than steel and strength that could bend titanium. The humans had no natural weapons, no claws, no venom, no armor plating. They were soft creatures who would break easily under the weight of imperial dominion. Vexra had personally requested this assignment. She craved the honor of delivering the final conquest, of placing the last jewel in the crown of Draxian supremacy. The council had laughed at her enthusiasm. What glory could there be in crushing insects? But Vexra saw opportunity where others saw tedium. She would make an example of humanity, a demonstration so brutal that no species would ever again dare to resist Draxian rule. The invasion fleet departed 3 cycles later, 500 warships armed with plasma cannons and singularity weapons. Vexra stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching Earth grow larger in the viewport. The blue and green sphere looked peaceful, ignorant of the destruction that approached. Intelligence reports indicated that human military forces were scattered, their weapons primitive, their defenses negligible. This would be over before the planet completed a single rotation. But then the sensors detected something unexpected. A single ship, small and unimpressive, emerged from Earth's orbital space. It accelerated toward the fleet with reckless speed, making no attempt at evasive maneuvers or tactical positioning. Vexra's tactical officer reported that the vessel was broadcasting a challenge on all frequencies. 1 human pilot against 500 Draxian warships. The audacity made Vexra's mandibles click with amusement. She ordered the fleet to hold position. Let this fool approach. Let him see the full might of the Empire before he died. Perhaps his final moments of terror would be worth observing. The human ship came within visual range, and Vexra studied it with disdain. It was cobbled together from outdated technology, barely holding together by any reasonable standard. The pilot's face appeared on the communication screen, a male human with dark hair and cold eyes. He introduced himself simply as Kane. Kane spoke with unsettling calm, his words direct and unadorned. He had come to offer terms. If the Draxian fleet withdrew immediately, humanity would allow them to retreat with honor. If they refused, he would personally dismantle their invasion and reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The War Council erupted in hissing laughter. Vexra herself felt genuine amusement for the first time in years. This creature, this soft and fragile thing, believed he could threaten an empire that had conquered 40 star systems. The delusion was almost endearing in its absurdity. She gave Kane one final chance to flee. He declined. Vexra ordered 3 warships to eliminate the impudent human. The vessels moved into attack formation, their plasma cannons charging with enough energy to vaporize a small moon. Kane's ship remained motionless, as if resigned to its fate. The weapons fired simultaneously, 3 beams of concentrated destruction converging on a single point. The human ship vanished. For a moment, Vexra thought the plasma had simply disintegrated it so completely that nothing remained. But then her tactical officer began screaming warnings. Kane's vessel had moved, impossibly fast, appearing behind the attack formation. Before the Draxian ships could react, 3 precise energy pulses erupted from Kane's weapons. The warships exploded in sequence, their reactors breached with surgical accuracy. The laughter on the bridge died instantly. Vexra ordered a full squadron to engage, 20 ships moving with coordinated precision. They had trained for this, practiced formation tactics for cycles. No single vessel could withstand such concentrated firepower. The squadron opened fire, filling the void with enough destructive energy to crack a continent. Kane flew through the barrage like it was nothing more than rain. His ship twisted and rolled with inhuman precision, every movement calculated to perfection. He was not dodging, Vexra realized with growing unease. He was reading the attack patterns, predicting trajectories before weapons even fired. The human moved as if he could see seconds into the future, as if time itself bent to his will. One by one, the squadron ships fell. Kane's weapons never missed, each shot finding critical systems with impossible accuracy. He wasted no energy, no ammunition, no movement. Every action served a purpose. Every maneuver placed him exactly where he needed to be. Within minutes, 20 Draxian warships became expanding clouds of debris. Vexra felt something she had not experienced in her entire military career: fear. She ordered the entire fleet to attack. 500 ships opened fire simultaneously, creating a web of destruction so dense that escape should have been impossible. The void itself seemed to burn with the fury of Draxian might. Surely, no matter how skilled this human was, he could not survive such overwhelming force. Kane accelerated directly into the center of the formation. What followed defied everything Vexra understood about combat. The human pilot moved like liquid death, his ship flowing through spaces that should not have existed. He used the fleet's own weapons against them, baiting ships into firing at angles that caused their beams to strike their sister vessels. He exploited every tactical error, punished every moment of hesitation, turned the fleet's numerical advantage into a liability. Draxian commanders screamed contradictory orders, their formations collapsing into chaos. Ships collided with each other, trying to track Kane's movements. Friendly fire incidents multiplied exponentially. The human was not simply fighting the fleet. He was conducting it, orchestrating its own destruction, like a maestro leading a symphony of annihilation. Vexra watched in horror as her invasion force tore itself apart. Kane's ship darted between explosions, each pass leaving more wreckage in its wake. His weapons fired with metronomic precision, never hurrying, never slowing, each shot claiming another victim. He was not winning through superior technology or overwhelming force. He was winning through pure, undiluted skill, through the art of warfare itself. The human combat doctrine became clear to Vexra in that terrible moment. Humanity did not evolve natural weapons because they learned to create them. They did not develop armor plating because they mastered the ability to avoid harm entirely. They were not strong, but they were adaptable. They were not durable, but they were relentless. And most terrifying of all, they had spent their entire evolutionary history locked in constant warfare with each other. Every human was forged in conflict from birth. Their entire civilization was built on 10,000 years of unending combat, strategy, and tactical innovation. While the Draxians had spent centuries conquering lesser species, humanity had been perfecting the art of killing the most dangerous prey in the universe: other humans. Kane had not trained for this battle. This was simply who he was, what his species had become through countless generations of violence. He was not special among humans. He was merely competent, and that competence was sufficient to dismantle an empire. The fleet was gone. 500 warships reduced to floating scrap metal and frozen corpses. Only Vexra's flagship remained intact, spared by Kane's deliberate choice. He could have destroyed it as easily as the others, but he wanted her alive. He wanted her to carry a message back to the Draxian Empire. Kane's face reappeared on the communication screen. His expression had not changed, still calm, still cold. He informed Vexra that Earth was claiming sovereignty over this entire sector of space. The Draxian Empire would withdraw all forces immediately and permanently. Any future incursion would be met with total war, and humanity would not stop until the Draxian homeworld itself burned. This was not a negotiation. This was a declaration of new reality. Vexra wanted to refuse, to spit defiance, to preserve some fragment of imperial dignity. But the words died in her throat. She had witnessed something today that shattered every assumption her species had held about the nature of power in the galaxy. The Draxians were strong, but strength meant nothing against an opponent who could turn that strength into weakness. She accepted the terms. Kane disconnected without ceremony. His ship turned and accelerated back toward Earth, leaving Vexra alone among the debris field that had once been an unstoppable invasion force. She began the long journey home, knowing that she carried not just a message, but a fundamental truth that would reshape galactic civilization. The age of Draxian dominance was over. The age of humanity had begun. News of the battle spread across the galaxy with impossible speed. Species that had suffered under Draxian rule whispered Kane's name with reverent awe. The warrior who had single-handedly destroyed an invasion fleet became legend before he even returned to Earth. Other empires, previously content to ignore the small blue planet, suddenly reassessed their strategic calculations. Humanity had been dismissed as weak, as prey animals unworthy of respect. Asterisk.